Da da da! We are here. It's happy. Hey, whoa! What is that noise? What did you do?
I don't know.
Did you just
Noise.
electrocute yourself?
Nope.
You have
I'm
a do you
still
have a
alive.
you have a bug zapper in your room?
Nope.
Oh, like
Not
what
that I
the
know of.
heck was that? Okay, we're good now. It's gone. It's the ghost in the machine.
Absolutely.
And you will notice that you don't look like a corpse. By the way, I think I fixed that. I think
Very
you look
green.
very healthy.
Do I?
Yeah,
Well, good for me.
I don't think you are you wearing a gray shirt. Is that why it's kind of
Yeah.
looking green?
Grayish green.
Yeah.
Grayish green.
So it's
Still
better. It's
maroon
better than looking like a corpse. So I'm getting there slowly but surely.
for me.
Ah, Ilmrin, hello,
Yep. He-
hero, here,
Hero.
hello,
He's saying
hello,
hero.
hello.
Hero. Yeah. Whatever that means. Hero, I think. He's just hero with an extra R.
Yes, just that's like a double hero.
Yeah,
It's like when you
absolutely.
order your hero. If you want a supersize one, you put an extra R in there.
God, that sounds good. I'm hungry.
Hola, hola, hola. Everybody's just got it's the H words tonight.
It's Cthulhu, the badger, the Badger Meister.
The official Badger #1 got it done.
That's right. Won himself a gift certificate from Talon Games.
Yeah.
I'll get you that code here before long, Cthulhu.
Do I get in trouble to I because I think I'm pretty sure he got like one of the very first ones that was made too. So
Guys on a Discord are numbering them.
are
They
they?
give you credit for number one, and then MechBoy21 or something like that posted about his first. So he has number two, and the Semlers are three and four in some order. I can't. I have trouble on the internet. I have trouble telling them apart. In person, they don't look anything
Well,
alike
before we
for the
went to
most part.
production, I made, let's see, so I made the first one, which was just the
Okay.
frame. There wasn't no detail or anything like that. So that one went in the dumpster.
-5.
Number two was the first detailed one that I made that was what I first showed. But then I made changes to it. And then the third one was the first production model. And then I took the fourth one out of the first batch of ships that were made and put it together Sunday. So
Okay.
technically speaking, it depends on how you want to look at it. It's either you could say it's number 5 or it's number 3. It's number 3 of what's actually out there, the true production run. But I know out of that first batch of 6 that Cthulhu and his brother each got one out of that pile. So I don't remember the other ones. We literally went down the line the way they were ordered. I figured that was the easiest and
Yeah,
fairest way to do it. So
that's the best way to do it.
yeah.
I agree.
And then, but as of today, everybody that has had one ordered in the U.S. has been shipped.
Okay.
So
Awesome.
if you haven't got yours yet, you should have got an email today that that it's on the way. So I think the longest one that can there's one going up to Washington, and I think it showed that it wasn't supposed to be delivered till Tuesday of next week. So I think that's but everybody else should have theirs pretty quick.
I'm assuming you mean Washington State when you say that.
Yes, Washington State.
Okay.
Yes.
You said some retail stores accounts had ordered multiple Badgers.
Yes. Aries got some, Derek,
Okay.
and then some other. I've got 2 other accounts that ordered some. So
I hope Derek's got his already. He's excitable.
did he already put something up about having
I
them?
I've not noticed yet.
Oh,
I
okay.
I
I
just
don't
know
think
that
because I think his went out yesterday, or Monday. Did it go out Monday or Tuesday? Because he had like 3 orders in or whatever. And we actually shipped his original order that the Badgers were ordered on the week before, and so we just owed him the two Badgers that he ordered. So,
Ilmarin, is this a little better? I'm kind of a little further away from my mic than I normally am.
hey, maybe I can turn it up a little bit. Maybe I have it turned down here a little bit. I don't remember because
Aries
you sound very good in mine.
Aries' store is in Canada. Is that true, or am I misremembering?
Uh, is there stores in Canada?
No, the Aries, your Aries account. Does he run his store out of Canada?
No, he's in Minnesota, I think, Minnesota or Michigan.
It's like
One of the
Canada
one of the
South.
big yeah,
Yeah.
suburb.
All right.
They're Canadian suburbs.
Yeah, seriously.
So
Thanks, Ilmarin.
they all
Appreciate the feedback.
they all talk the same. So uh, so yes, but we have seen them start showing up in the wild. So
Absolutely.
we'll see. But I know a lot of people have got them that went out in the first groups that I don't normally see post anywhere. So I don't know if they'll say anything about them or not. So
It's their toy.
Yeah.
They can put it together and keep it in their closet if they like.
yeah, I've seen a couple show up because there's one that they were talking about that the guy had already got and was working on that I think he's using it more like a shuttle or something for 28 millimeter scale, stuff like that.
Hey.
So
More power to him. Let him buy 10 more.
yep. So yeah, it's kind of if you really look at it, it's kind of scale agnostic.
Yeah.
Depending on how you want to look at it, it can work across several scales. So
Yeah, I anticipate leveraging that at ReaperCon, to be honest with you, during the RPG.
yes,
Sure. Surely to goodness we're going to have a Badger as a piece of terrain at some
I
point.
had a piece of terrain there. Well, I'm getting ready that the number 2 that was the pre-production copy. I'm getting ready to start cutting it up. So
Okay.
it's going to become my crashed drop ship
Yeah.
for that game board I'm working on. So
Oh, you're talking about the one with the scattered crates
yes,
scenario?
yes, it's officially
That sounds like a great scenario.
it's officially titled A Tale of Two Cities.
I like it.
That's the official name of it. So hopefully I will get to working on it here pretty soon. But I definitely want to have it ready for ReaperCon. So
I'm curious to see how you crash it. If you're going to split it in half and make 2 crashes, or just cut part of it off and throw it away and bury it in the turret, or what?
well, I'm gonna cut it across the middle, so there'll be the front and the back,
Okay.
and then I'm going to then I'll jagged those edges up, and then I'm gonna twist the front down and over a little bit, and then cut straight across there, so that it'll look like it has nose dived into the ground and kind of turned.
Right.
Okay. Then I'll build up
Yeah.
around that. And so you'll be able to see in the back of it. So I'll figure something out to put in the inside of it there from the back. And then I don't know if I'm going to do something with the back or just maybe do something with like the missile pod and some other parts or something like that. So I don't know that I'll put another big piece out.
You could have you've got these new initiative decks coming up, right? You could make up a special release card that for that scenario where some of the missile ammo cooks off,
Right.
and just sort of like if that card comes up, there's just a big explosion somewhere on the board.
A random
It'd be kind of fun.
boom or just something falling out of the sky.
Part of it hadn't landed
Yeah.
yet.
Pow. Kapow. There you go.
Yeah. I mean, especially if it got shot on the way in. I mean, if it broke up on the way in, there could be parts raining down for the whole start of the scenario.
But I've got a big enough bandsaw, so it's going to work out just right. Like I said, I'm going to cut it this way, and then I'm going to put it down, twist it, and cut across the deal to get the angle that I want and go from there. So hopefully it all doesn't fall apart.
You know what? If it does, you can just make another one.
Well, I know, but I figured what I was going to do after I cut it in half is I was thinking real seriously about shooting some of that expandable foam up in it. and just let it expand inside of it and fill it up solid, and then
Yeah,
and that keep the sides together while I'm making that cut.
it's not a bad
Because
idea.
it's going to have parts for a while that are going to have no support as the supports are cut away from the bottom. So I may end up doing that. Just shoot a little expanding foam in there and let it fill in. Then I can dig it out where I need to. So
You could just fill a fresh one up with expandable foam so that it kind of pops out a little bit and say
right,
there's alien goo. We could play the blob. Giant calves versus the giant kaiju blob that came in on the drop ship.
and then I've got one more. I want to build one more that I want to light it up. So
Yeah.
that's my deal too. I there wasn't so much going on, and I was trying to do the deal or whatever. That last one I was going to do and light it up, but I think I'll go in and put another one together and make sure as I go to be able to hook it all up and show how to light one up because I want to have it. I think I'll have it where it'll light up for the from the inside through all the windows. I haven't made up my mind if I'm going to. I thought about lighting up the engines, the exhaust things
Ooh,
too, with
yeah. Oh, yeah.
kind of something blinking back there, and then of course all the running lights and stuff will be on it. So
I mean, I imagine you'd want one of those for your convention booth, right? So you could
yeah,
set it up and right next to a stack of the things for sale and go, hey, there
the
you go.
right. The main thing about and the because I mean I don't know necessarily that the engines would be going while it was sitting on the ground, so that would look maybe a little funny, but they make lighting kits out there. There's already that are the guys have already put together for getting that effect, so that it looks
Mhm.
like it's throbbing engine because they do them for the the Galactica models and stuff like that. There's all kinds
Mhm.
of LED kits out there for those. So
Hmm.
so that would be cool. I think that would be neat to have one that lights all up. So
I can't argue with you, John.
yeah. So then show people how to do it. Like I said, I've got it pretty much in my head, the steps it needs to go to. And then, like I said, I'm going to cut out the inside of the one of the exhausts on the bottom. And that way you can pop that exhaust off and have a spot to reach in there to put your batteries and your on and off switch and everything.
Okay.
So just a 9 volt battery will be all it needs. So that's the great thing about LEDs. You can put a lot of LEDs on one 9 volt. All right. So, all right. So we talked about the Badger. We told let everybody know that if they've got one on order, at least if they're in the U.S., they are on their way. If you're a Canadian viewer, I think we've let everybody know on those that it'll probably be at the end of the month because we're still trying to figure out how we're going to get them up there. Because, well, here's the problem. See, normally our Canadian distributor, they have a box or a drop thing up in Niagara Falls. So we
Mhm.
send everything to Niagara Falls. They come across the border twice a week and pick up stuff from us and whoever. The problem, though, is Canada is making them now, if they go across the border, even if they're over there for an hour, they have to come back and go to a hotel that they have set aside and quarantine for I don't know how long at your expense. So
Wow.
they have not been able to be coming across the border. So then for us to ship direct to them because these are so big and so heavy, I might as well just send everybody their money back. So it's just nuts trying to send stuff to Canada, which is just ridiculous to me, but it is what it is. But I think I hopefully they will have everything squared away because my understanding is they're doing vaccination cards. So I think if you got the vaccination and have your card, I think you're able to go back and forth, and that's what we're waiting to hear on. So hopefully we'll have that squared away and good to go. But so we're good there. All right. So what I wanted to talk about tonight is again, one of the common things I hear all the time. Oh, I like playing CAV. I've got this. I do this, whatever. But I don't have anybody to play with. And I almost sometimes feel like that they feel like that since I sell the game, that I should find the people for them to play play with. So and it doesn't work that way. I wish I could, but I can't. So, hello, Hobby Habit. How are you? So, and we've talked about this before about how do you find players, and obviously with the coronavirus and everybody being stuck at home and game stores being shut down, it became an even insurmountable thing to do for anybody. I think gaming as a whole probably took a back seat as far as miniature wise. I think RPGs probably had their best year ever. I
Probably.
mean, just because so much of it can be done online now with Zoom and things like that. And, with so many of the YouTube shows like Critical Role and stuff like that showing you how to do it, it's a big deal. But hopefully stores are starting to open up. Things are coming out. We're getting stores ordering again. I mean, we literally went, other than a couple of online places, we went like 8 months without any retail orders.
Wow.
Yeah. Last year, once I think from about May right up until December or whatever, maybe even longer than that. Because we didn't get any in January or February, so March. So from May last year till March of this year, we got no retail orders. So they say that's not good for us.
Yeah.
But we have got some now, so that's good. And I think with a lot of new product coming out, that will help increase that pile back up too. So, but how can you find players? And I think that a lot of people forget maybe how they got into this hobby. How did they originally find somebody or get hooked up to a group or start playing this? Either they saw it at the store, they bought the book, they talked to their friends, whatnot or whatever. And you kind of need to look back at that and on how you do that and how you find people and stuff like that. To me, the way that I have always found people is, and certainly if you have a store that puts up a gamer bulletin board or something, that helps. You can put up a little sign, you can put up a little flyer or whatever. I think it's been a while since I said anything about it, but we have a PDF file out there that you can download that is set up with a window so that you can put a date and a time and everything in there. So if you want to print it out and put it on there, I need to find the link. It's been a while since I put it up. But like I said, you can just open it up, type in the information you want to, print it out, take it down to the store, put it up on the bulletin board. But for me, anytime that I ever played a game that I was trying to find other players to start playing it with me, is I would literally go into a game store, sit down with figures, whatever stuff from the game, and start painting and just working on stuff there at the table or whatnot. And people would stop and look at them. You'd have, the ones you're painting on, ones that are already painted, set them out or whatever. And it would give you time to talk to these folks. And I would, if I had time during the week, I might come in a couple of times during the week, or a weekend after weekend, and keep telling these people, and I already have a date picked 2 or 3 weeks in the future, and say, listen, if this is something that you think that you might like to try out, I will be here this date at 3:00 running a demo or playing a game. So come back and see at that point. That's always worked for me. I've always been able to put a group together from doing that. And at that point, once you have that group start playing, people just seem to gravitate to it. You're at the store, people are seeing you playing it. And that group kind of grows and shrinks. You get a guy that'll play for a few weeks and then he'll be gone, and a new guy comes in, but you always seem to have that core that you go from. So, what is your experiences, James? What works best for you to find new players?
So I mean, the way I got into miniature games in the very, very first place, like a trillion years ago, back when dinosaurs were playing with tabletop figures, I walked in and some guys were playing ogre. They had these giant pile of painted Mark V ogres duking it out with each other, and I was like, "Holy guacamole, what is this? How do I get involved in this?" And so that's still my experience. I mean, like seriously, 30, 40, however many years it's been later. When I'm, over at my local my local store, and I've got the terrain set out. I've got a nice board. I've got hills. I got trees. I got some good looking, structures. I've got painted calves. I've got them set out on the table. People walk by and they're just like, "What is this?"
Right.
And like a dozen people will stop and ask what it is, and I'll give them the little spiel. And of those, two or three will sit down and watch or jump in and roll dice with
Right.
me, and just express that kind of interest. And it's really the same way that you meet anybody, right? But in this case, it's just the visual attractiveness of what you're doing.
Right.
And John's right about the painting thing too. Our local store runs a monthly painting day. One of the local stores runs actually a weekly painting day, and you just show up there with the stuff that you're working on, and you'll catch somebody's attention, and just be friendly and open, and tell them what's going on, and tell them how great a deal it is, and offer to play a game with them.
Right.
Just be a
And
nice person.
what I'm talking about is more for if you're kind of by yourself and you're in kind of a smaller area or something like that. If you have a store that has the room that has the traffic where you can go in and you want to set up a game that morning and sit there and just teach people as they come by, that works most excellent. And certainly if there's two or three of you that are already together that can actually go in and play a game, and have all that set up, people will gravitate towards that. Conventions are huge for finding new players in an area. The regional shows like that because depending on how well they get the word out there, people look at that and you put your description there that this is what you're going to do. You're going to be teaching this game, and if somebody's heard about it and want to check it out, or they just think mechs are cool or whatever,
Mhm.
they'll sign up for the show. And we've said over and over again, if you're set up to and you want to go in and run a demo, and we can help with that. We've got the quick start books, we've got demo mechs to pass out, we've got all kinds of things like that. So make sure if that's something that you're going to do, we get a hold of us. Let us know what store you're going to. We can contact the store and get some demo kits in there for them to pass on and have that for you guys. And just make sure that what we're looking for is for you to work with the store. Make sure that that kind of thing, that they know that you're going to do that. Don't ask for a bunch of demo stuff and then just kind of show up out of the blue. And then when they won't let you do anything, you're like, oh my gosh, what am I supposed to do? So make sure you kind of coordinate with that with the stores. The stores used to be a lot less strict about that, but I know that stores that I've dealt with lately over the last 2 or 3 years tend to be, they're a little less liable to just let anybody come in and throw their shingle down. So make sure you check with the store before you're doing a big organized demo. Um, what else? Did that cover most of the
So I mean, I
thoughts with
think
that?
really just playing. So here in Tulsa, we have a pretty good sized little core of people.
Right.
There's, I don't know, half a dozen people I could probably call on to get to show up to a game when there's space, and just getting in there and playing and showing up on a regular basis. Just doing, it's sort of like the podcasts and things like
Yeah.
that. It's hard to get people to listen if you do it like once every 6 months,
Right.
right? But when people see you in there hobbying, and they see you show up with your badger and you're playing games, they become interested, and they can see that there's a community here for that they can join, right? So even if it's just a community of one, one sticks to another one, and then now you've got two and three and four. You just have to get out there and do something active. Now, again, COVID, but that's
Right.
going to end
Yeah,
here
it's
hopefully really
it's
soon.
it's coming. We're kind of seeing the light at the end of the tunnel, but that's really where it comes down to. Is I'm not trying to be mean or um, pass anything off or whatever, but you got to get out there and shake the tree. We can't shake the tree for you. And I think that especially with us, hopefully here in the next couple of months, getting with new releases and kind of getting our self back into gear, that will help. I think that with new things and stuff to look out there, that we'll be able to go that. So now that kind of rolls into my next thought that I wanted to talk a little bit about tournaments. We probably will not be having the normal tournament like that we normally do at ReaperCon, because we probably won't do it as a CAVCon, ReaperCon thing because of the way it's being set up this year. But one of the things that too that is we've put together kind of a format for a tournament. It's kind of more of a wide swath kind of a tournament to cover several bases so that different people can find different parts of it that they like, as opposed to being certain thing or whatever. And it's not strictly revolving around you killing each other. There's ways to score and do well in the tournament without wiping each other out. But one of the things that, I'm very anxious that, if you've got a tournament that you've played with another game that you think would work for this or something like that, please, let us know. Let's have some ideas. Let us, or put the tournament together and then send us the information on how it ran for you and stuff like that, so that we can look at different ways to change things. But one of the things, because it kind of came up this week with a new player that was posted on one of the Facebook asking about threat value points. How many points should I play with? How many points should I put in a squad and everything? I think that one of the deals that, and part of that is, with the shorter squads and stuff like that, we've kind of got this organized number where everybody thinks, oh, it's 2,500 points a squad or 5,000 points or whatever, based on the tournament. But I don't always know that that's the most important way to point wise to go. If you really figure it out, kind of where those points kind of came from is, I think most of your smaller CAVs, I don't think we have they're kind of right in the 200 point area. And then, we've got some 1,100, 1,200 point CAVs, with the Centurion or whatever. So that kind of averages out at 600 points, 600 point threat value, or 700, depending on how you want to look at it. And that really dictated where that 2,500 points came from. We put special squads together. They're 4 CAVs. At 600 points, it's 2,400 points. The problem, I don't know, it's not necessarily a problem, but that tends to make a very heavy squad as far as damage tracks and everything like that. Especially as a new player, that might be a little more intimidating. It works both ways, because by the same token, with it being a little heavier, you're probably not going to get blown out of the water right off the bat, with a couple of bad hits or something like that. But I think people ought to look at, too, not focusing so much on those big point values. I think that you ought to start thinking about other squads that are more, might be, because when we did the tournament in 2019, the last time that we did the tournament, we moved the points down to 4,500 points. So we made them 2,250 squads if you wanted to do 2 squads. But I think you ought to look at 1,000 points, 1,500 points, and not always be so fixated on having a Thunderhawk or an Emperor out there. Have some smaller groups on there. I think that one of the things that the campaign book will do that'll help with that is, we've put together some types of squads, kind of how they organize some of their squads, as far as, is this a kind of a sub name, is this an assault squad or a battle squad, or, things like that. Also, if you will look in the rule book, in the section up at the front when it's talking about calves, there's a section in there that kind of breaks it down by percentage. What percentage of calves generally are this number, or things out there. So, if you're in the campaign book will kind of play on that a little bit. So, you're not going to see lots of supers out there. So you really should really think about that, rather than always, trying to build 2 or 3 2,500 point squads. Maybe take that 4,500 points or 5,000 points and build, 4 or 5 1,000 point squads. And it certainly adds more models and more squads to the deal, but by the same token, you're talking about a lot of 3, 4, and 5 DT models. So you're going to go through them pretty quick. It can make pretty exciting and fast game. And that's the reason what vehicles do really well, because vehicles tend to be less points. And those work out really well. If you have lots of vehicle squads that you can kill and shoot and everything. So what do you think about that, James?
Man, there's a million things to unpack from all that stuff you just said, but so I'll try and be really brief. First of all, I love the idea of running little smaller squads, things that are lighter. In my head, I've always wanted to do what other game companies have called like a slow grow league, right? Where you start out with like a small light squad. To me, like a recon squad. So like you're a second lieutenant or a lieutenant that's fresh out of command school. They assign you to a recon squad. You've got 4 CAVs or maybe some vehicles in a CAV, and you're in command of that. And play some games like that where you've got to play with these little tiny delicate things, but the enemy has the same sort of stuff, so the game is completely competitive, right? It should be just fine. When you're playing small, honestly, I think you could just throw the points away. You could just make a rule that said no more than 5 damage tracks or 4 damage tracks, right? And just bring a squad. Pick 4 models with 4 damage tracks or less, and go for it from there. Last but not least, you said something about running a bunch of 1,000-point squads, right? Maybe I'm misremembering it, but I think in the tournament there's a thing that says there's a maximum of 12 models in the tournament.
Right. Well, if you're going straightly by the tournament rules, I'm kind of talking about your games as well, because it seems like a lot of people have based their games on tournament rules, and because the tournaments say 5,000 points, we're going to take 5,000 points worth of stuff. And that's fine, but I think, if you're playing your own game or something like that, and that's not to say, because that's one of the things that the reason the tournament is set up the way that it is we may come back and say, next year the tournament might be 4,000 points and you have to have 4 squads or something like that. I mean, that the tournament thing is always going to change. I don't know, year to year, every 6 months or whatever, or the ability for you as an individual person that's putting a tournament together at your store, you'll be able to move those around and change those so that we don't get into that where you just come up with the perfect points for the perfect force, and it's just the same thing over and over and over. Everybody dials it in. And that was really, that's the reason we changed from 5,000 to 4,500 points. We took 500 points away from everybody. And guess what? Everybody had to reorganize their forces because, they lost 500 points. What are we going to do? So
I think the idea of relaxing the hard-coded model limit at 12 for official tournament rules is actually an interesting idea. I think you can prevent that whole infantry thing you've talked about in the past. You just say no infantry.
Right.
Because one of the things that cuts off the ability for people to play wide, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I may want to bring 20 models and play really cheap models, but cover all the objectives and be really fast and get behind you and take advantage of that new rear attack bonus and just swarm over those emperors. But I can't do it when there's a 12 model limit.
Well,
right?
And there's a fine line there when you get into the tournament, and that might be, and that's the reason why that rule is in there. It's to keep somebody from, taking a 50-point tank and coming with 30 of them. I realize that as a tactic and a way to play that is valid. But when we're dealing with time limits and stuff like that, by the same token, it doesn't always work well for tournament play. But certainly from your game perspective or something like that. So right, and that's the way the rules are set up, Imran, is to adjust the point cap and the model cap, so that without saying you can't use this model or you can't use that. Infantry just doesn't really have a place in tournament play, and that's the only reason that we don't allow infantry. So it's because they're you can't buy enough of them to really do anything, or you buy so many of them. We're back to that. You have 10 guys and I have 300. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it just the movement level of it. So that always has to be taken into account too. And part of it too, as the player base grows and gets more experienced, we will make changes as well. Part of those rules are put together so that somebody newer to the game coming in and playing is not going to get blown out because they didn't realize that they could do this or something like that. So it's something to take into account, that there is some method to the madness.
I mean, the tournament system works fine the way it is. It just it shapes the meta, if that's a word you want to try and use. You're forced to take 12 models for the most part, and that makes them fairly chunky because you've got a nice number of points. As you take a handful of little recon guys for their abilities, and then you've got the big boys. And so it would be nice to be able to swing a little wider, but right. I'm not saying they don't work. It certainly does work. It's just, it shapes the meta for sure.
Well, and like I said, even if you leave the model cap in there, that's where the points really screw that up. If you come back in and all of a sudden go, next tournament's 3,500 points, you may not see. If you really want to spend that 1,000 points on one big guy, that's yeah. If I never see three squads of long gunners on the ridge again, it'll be too soon. Yeah. I played War Machine tourneys in the infantry machine era. I am so far out of gaming anymore. I'm not 100% aware of what that is, but apparently it's not a good thing.
I know what you mean, Ilmarin. I'm familiar with that system and that meta. Yeah. So yeah. So what about some sort of narrative stuff? I mean, a slow grow league, a way to get people into the game and tell a story. Do you have any ideas for that?
Well, and you and me have discussed this before, and we've looked at some of the stuff the other games have done. And I think that obviously there, especially like a slow grow league or something like that, where people start with 2 or 3 things and start painting and getting together, and then show up and do things together. We were kind of working on a lot of that back in 2019, and there at the first of last year, and then when everything all crapped out, it kind of fell to the wayside again. But I think that's something that we need to develop. We need ideas from people to what they think works better. I mean, there's a lot of things that we can design and put out there. I put out that little mini campaign system, where you can start off with certain points and stuff like that. So, I think that's something to grow and build on. I put it all out there. I think it dropped right before COVID. I think that's about the time that I put it out there. So a lot of that fell aside. So, that's something to put back out there and bring to the fore again for people to look at that. It's a way to, build some forces and go back and forth and play the narrative, like you talk about, because there's different scenarios in there that you get to choose from to play. So, but yeah, it's and that's good. I mean, what are some good slow grow leagues that you have played in? What are some other games out there that have really good slow grow leagues? Stuff that we can look at to model ours on.
So I mean, hopefully a bunch of people will post in the chat. But so my big experience with Slow Grow is from the Privateer Press group, from their War Machine and Horde stuff. And with that, you would start out with they sold starter boxes, right? So
Right.
you would buy a starter box that came with the central figure and 2 or 3 units, or not even units, just models to go with it. Paint that up, play that a few times, and then pick where you wanted to go from there. So in CAV terms, um, again, my thought is, you're a young lieutenant, right? So you've got like maybe for lack of a better word, a medium CAV with some tanks, or maybe a set of 4 small recon models. That's your command, right?
Right.
And then you're given these missions to accomplish, and as you accomplish missions, you gain points that you can spend to improve your person or buy more units. And then, of course, you're going slow, so you can take the time to get your stuff painted up. Probably should be some sort of a story wrapped around in there.
Right.
That to me would be the ideal way to play the game. Once the stores open up around here, I would love to get the Ron and Teresa and the Semlers to if I can convince them all to come and play a few other people that were getting into the game just as we shut down. Get them to come back in and play a slow grow league. I think that would be my perfect present for this year.
Right.
I would love that.
Yeah, I think the last game that I really played was, I think when I came down there to Tulsa with you guys. But I mean, we had a really good show in that day. I think, what did we have, three
Yes.
tables or whatever of people playing? So,
3 tables, right?
yeah,
And one of them was playing 4 people
yeah,
in one group. There was basically two v2 on one of the tables. So we had enough room, enough people. We could have played 4 tables, but we didn't have enough terrain.
yeah, yeah. We had one board that was pretty sparse. So,
Yeah.
but makes for some great long shooting. So
Yes, it does.
roll those dice.
Roll
Everybody's out in
max.
the middle. Yeah. So,
That's right.
but like I said, we really need you guys to help. We need you guys to tell us what you want to see, what you want us to do. Because we run into that too. Is we can spend a lot of time putting stuff together and talking about stuff, and this is what we're going to do, and then we put it out there, and if that's not what everybody wanted, it's just
Yeah,
been wasted. So
absolutely.
make sure you know, whether it's on Facebook or Discord or email or whatever, give us some ideas, give us some stuff. I'm trying. My plan is I want to put together somebody. I want to get somebody that's responsible for kind of this kind of stuff, to be in charge of that and get it away from me. So that that there's somebody that can dedicate themselves on it. I don't know how that's going to settle right now. We're not in a position where we can just hire somebody full time to do that. But we've got it's going to be a weird thing to try to figure out how to make it work, because it's not something that whoever does it is going to be able to spend 30 minutes a week and be good with it. It's going to take some stuff. So we're going to have to find the right person and find the middle of the road area that works for our side and their side and things like that. But, some kind of an event coordinator, somebody that can work on, with help with some of that. So, and if you've got any experience doing that with other games or something, again, let us know what worked, what didn't work, things that, that we can do. CAV's kind of a weird game. I mean, it's not really, it's not a War Machine kind of a game or a Warhammer kind of game or something like that. It's, it's when you have more CAVs and it's more, there's 10, 12 units or whatever models on the board. It's a little weird from the way a lot of your skirmish games or the Warhammer type games and stuff like that, where you have blocks of figures and stuff like that. So, but we are very, very interested to hear what you got to say. So let us know. Let us know what works.
Yeah, I'm excited. I hope somebody steps up and takes that role on and hits a home run for you. I'm ready, willing, and able to help them as much as I can.
And let's see, what was the next thing I was touch base on? Oh, and also, what are some things that people are doing online? What are some things that we can start looking at to do stuff? I know that and I'm still playing with it. I just haven't had time to sit down and really go crazy with it. As like a tabletop simulator, and I think there's a couple others out there now. That I think would be cool to be able to put something online where people can come in and look at a game or something like that. I think one of the cool things that I've really watched. I think I talked about this before. The BattleTech guys in Germany have really got into using Tabletop Simulator for playing BattleTech games. And I would say they've got a core over there of guys. They've either got one hardcore guy that is working 23 hours a day doing Tabletop Simulator stuff, or they've got a group that's behind it. But they have put it together some really great boards, the way that it's set up. But one of the things that I thought was really, really cool about it is you can go in as a spectator. You don't even have to. You can go in and watch a game being played and see it from as a deal. And that's one of the things that they're doing. And I think that would be really good to help show people how to play CAV. If we had it set up where in an afternoon, a couple of players got together and played a squad versus squad or whatever, as opposed to trying to watch it move a camera around or something like that. You can invite everybody in and they can basically sit around the table and watch you play, and participate in that. So, that's something that I really, I'm still excited about doing. I just haven't had time to go in and work out all the bolts. I don't think that it's overly complicated. I think that it's a relatively simple deal to do. I think the fact that we already have 3D files of all the models would make it very easy for us to bring in and actually have the miniature figures and stuff like that. So I think what I've seen most of them doing with the BattleTech is they make like the cardboard stand-ups. So it's from the front or the back, it's the picture of the models. So
the cardboard heroes, we used to call them back in the
cardboard heroes. Yeah.
Yep. Back in the day, Steve Jackson made those, I think, didn't he?
Might have been on the deal, yeah, with the small ones. There's been 2 or 3 companies over the years that do them. I remember playing the original BattleTech game. They came with the foldies with the little plastic stands. And I know that there was, we actually ended up going in and because originally I think you only had like the 8 or 9 of the original mechs, and they started showing some cards and stuff for the other ones. I mean, we physically went in and drew and made our own cardboard stand-ups and colored them and everything like that. So back in the day. But that's
back when everything was new and shiny.
Everything was new and shiny. So anyways, that's my soapbox speech for tonight. Anybody have any questions or anything that they want that they go on? I don't think they can type fast enough. I don't think they can type as fast as we can talk.
No, probably not.
No.
Chandler was talking about playing with this whole collection. Chandler, you can only play with painted models. How many can you bring? Seriously.
And
Mm.
but and another thing too is and I am going to get much better about. I'm I want to do a once a month scenario. I've
Mhm.
released some
Ooh.
already, and but I want to start getting one out there every month for people to download and look at. And I like to do those. I know that some people sometimes don't like the fact that everything's preset for them, but I think that I think those work out really good. Trying to get you to play outside your comfort zone, and there's a bit of a narrative, there's a bit of a story there, and why this is being this or whatever like that. And you see
Mhm.
some calves and stuff out there that may not always get used a whole lot because they're not maybe the fancier or whatever. Um,
Mhm.
so anyway, I know the answer, but New Memphis, just consider the prod. It is high on the list, Colonel Kane. I promise you. It just between everything that's been going on and new production and everything, it's this close still. I'm getting there. That's my next. As I'm either going to be working on getting the dual cast stuff out the door, or I'm going to be finishing up the writing. So on it and the Journal of Recognition, and I've got to get with Herb and get the campaign book tightened up and stuff like that. So, and then we're going to start talking about the role playing game and all kinds of goodies. So, but we did get finally caught up with the Badgers. So, how
One
soon
step
to
at a
where
time.
point to where we well, it will either be May or June. We'll just it'll just see here in the cycle that we are because of the drop ship and all that stuff that went on that kind of got in the way a little bit this month. But we are switching gears big time to get into that. So and we have the ability. We're working with some other people too that are going to help us get up on our feet faster. So I mean, we've got a whole pile of models. I think were we talking yesterday or when were we talking about how many or maybe somebody asked me on the show last night about what models that we have ready. I mean, we have a
Yeah.
huge list of models that are already
Mhm.
done that are ready to go.
Probably enough to release a couple for the rest of the year at least, I
Oh yeah,
think.
yeah. I mean, just in the airplanes, those 5 resin planes, switching those over. I mean, there's a bunch of ones there that people will start getting into because I mean, you know, there's a lot of people. The Mastodon is done. Him and
Hmm.
they're the two variant because that's going to be a multi-variant pack. You'll be able to build 3 different models out of that if you want to. You
Yep.
you have to pick which of the 3 you want, but so and I think the new Mastodon turned out great.
Hmm.
I think it held enough of the original one to you can look at it and you know what it is, and but I think it's updated enough that because it did the original one was kind of a weird shape on some parts I thought so. No, I'm definitely looking forward to the master. And I would say, as of right now, I think when the last time we talked about it, I think the Mastodon will be the biggest calf that we'll have ever done.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Kodiak is a big, chunky boy.
Well, he is width wise, but I mean, if you compare him size wise, height wise, he's right in there. So I think the Mastodon's going to be a pretty good sized boy. So
Cool.
I think that kind of goes with the name and the story and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
think he's well, it'll be a fun one. So that or the and if I ever get around to if we do the Devastator, that one
Hmm.
was kind of done as kind of not a joke deal, but it's a legitimate model out there in the way that it's set up. But I could see it being pretty big because it's basically,
Gigantic.
yeah, it's got like a movement of two because it's basically,
Right.
it's more of a, like a monitor,
Siege piece.
yeah,
Yeah.
type
Yeah.
deal. Is you put him somewhere that you don't want anybody to just blow through. So if you
That
get him
that
pre-positioned,
that was the model that was specialist unique, as I recall.
yes, yeah, you can only have
Okay.
one of them. Yeah, yeah, because with I think it's got his. I don't. It's probably got. I think the Mastodon ended up having a lot of armor, so it's probably on level with the Mastodon with armor. But it's got those, well, four max or four M racks or
Hmm.
something like that. It's
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 gigantic.
gigantic. It's one of those things that if he decides that you're his target, he is going to punch a large hole through your skeevy little heart.
Mm.
But the offside of that is he's easy to hit. I think because he's got that large profile or whatever,
Yep. Yep.
and then and the fact he can't go nowhere. He's got to move it at two, So, but
I'm excited to see that model.
yeah, yeah. We're like I said, we've got everything in house. We're just learning as we go, and whether we're actually ready to go or we have to have somebody help us with molds still for a couple of months or whatever. But we will be producing stuff here in house in May or June at the latest. So
Excited.
yeah. And we'll start
Very
doing
excited.
a preview. We'll start doing a pre thing so that Hope my plan is I would like to work on 90 days, so you'll know what we're going to release for the over the next 90 days.
That would be excellent.
Yeah, most excellent. So you want me to whisper to you? You want me to whisper that to
No.
you somewhere?
No. Had enough of that already.
I am the CAV whisperer.
Apparently.
Apparently so.
Oh.
All right, so we're down to the last 3 minutes of the night. Any last? Can I call dibs on the first Mastodon? Of course, Chandler. I will send you the first Mastodon, and you can paint it. How about that? You can paint it, and we will make that our. We'll use that for the official painted picture of the Mastodon, just for you.
I like it. Exciting.
So when we start putting masters together for it, I will send you a master, and you can go from there. So because we're trying to get more and more painted stuff. I actually got in. I need to take some pictures and put those up. Party Bear Minis during CavCon painted those. Started on those 4 minis.
Mhm.
And when we started talking about that and putting it together, I told him what the color schemes were for the 4 units that he was working on, so that we could use them for color pictures. He went in and then he finished those up after the show and everything and sent those to me, and they look badass. They turned out nice. So I need to get some good pictures of them and put them up. So. Lot different than what you saw during the show, because he actually went in and finished everything and did every little part. So turned out really good. I was very, very impressed. Well, hopefully we can get him to do some more because that's where we're stuck on the JOR, is we're trying to get all the art pictures and the painted pictures done. So anyway.
A lot of work.
Did all the CavCon pictures get judged? They did. Whoops. I'm glad that you reminded me of that. I posted the list up. No, you did not miss that. All the judges have got together and we have the official list. And that will be, I will get that up. It will be up this week. So, cause I have the list, but I was going to go in and put the ribbons on the winners stuff like that. So we do. They are judged. I just have not put the results up. So I will try to get to that tomorrow afternoon. If not tomorrow afternoon, Friday. If not Friday, this weekend. It'll be done by Sunday, no matter what. I promise.
Crack the whip.
Yes. So we've got a couple of things that I'm trying to finish up here, but it won't be as bad now, because now that we're kind of caught up on the Badgers and stuff like that. Because like I said, like I was talking last night, for the last 2 weeks, my life has been lived on 30 minutes, because every 30 minutes you got to go out and put new material in the machine for it to cut. So whatever I can do in 30 minutes gets done, and then boom, I'm back out there, and then it's like I said, it's like Groundhog Day. It just kept starting over. So, all right. But we're finishing. Like I said, right now we're just finishing up the stuff for the Canadian orders, and actually we'll and then start having stuff on the shelf. So for future orders, because I hadn't even tried to publicize the thing out to some of the other groups and stuff yet, because we just weren't in a position to, God forbid I got another 30 or 40 order to right off the bat. I'm like, oh wait, no, we're in big trouble, or more big trouble. All right, so we will call that a night on that deal, as they call me out once again. Oh, here's another thing you said you were going to do and forgot. Oh, cool. Story of my life. You guys are worse than my wife now. You told me you were going to do this. I know. I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. I'll get to it. I promise. All right.
You got a list of CAV dues.
I know. It's and it grows. It continually grows. Somebody was texting me earlier today. Hey, did you get this? No. When are you going to? Well, it's going to happen.
Somebody's calling you out in chat there, John.
Well, they were getting on me over the tokens.
I think you need to look a little closer. There's a Valkyrie running around out there.
Yeah. There was a guy asked about the drop shop in Discord this morning. I don't. Yeah, no, we're good. Or whatever. I see where it came from. Oops.
Uh-huh.
All right, I am in big trouble now. I don't want. I'm not going home again. I'm gonna stay up all night making badges. All right. So anyway, everybody have a good night. Thanks for being here. We appreciate it. Chris will be here Saturday at 2:00. I'm not sure what he's going to be working on. We will try to have a conversation about that between now and then. So anyway, everybody take care. James, thanks for being here. I appreciate everything that you do always. So be positive, man. Be positive.
That's what you got to do.
All right.
Positivity.
All right, guys. We'll see y'all later. Take care.
Take care.